Hi everyone, this is Shalini Joshi Amdagni from magicalpainfreeliving.com, and this is a Facebook Live session. And in this session, I was going to be sharing with you the emergency landing in Iceland story, and the cost of excess baggage, and the importance of traveling light. So, hello everyone. I'm not sure who's here. I'm just going to see if this is, I'm trying to share this on my page, but I'm not being able to do that. Hi Anju, hi. Okay, I don't know, not being able to see this. Anyway, so come in. I'm coming to you live from my home office in Bangkok, Thailand, and I would love to know where you are joining me from. Wherever you are, please leave a comment so I know who joined in and where you're from. Hi Ram, hi Anju, hi CS Nilima, hi Vipul. I have friends, family, clients, everybody joining in. I'm so excited to be here. And so, I'm just going to jump right into the story. This is a personal story, and it's titled Emergency Landing in Iceland, right? And driving on the highway, be safe, Ram. So, I'll take you along with me on this journey. Let's go back like 3 years ago, March 16, 2014. I am at the Dulles, Washington, D.C. International Airport, waiting to board my flight, on my way back to Bangkok, Thailand. And I've been in Washington, D.C., actually not in D.C., but in Baltimore, attending a transformational authors retreat. We were getting together to write a book, and I don't know what that beeping sound is. Anyway, so we're getting ready to write this book, and so we had gathered in Baltimore for this transformational authors retreat. And so I was really happy, it went really well. And the fun thing was I even got to share with the authors there some tapping, because we had to do some live video shooting and people were nervous. And so I was tapping them. We even ended up doing a 2-hour just impromptu tapping workshop. So by the end of that, a lot of people were tapping. So I was really happy and reflecting at the airport, Dulles Airport, on, heading on my way back. And so I boarded the flight, right, and got comfortable in my seat. I'm sitting and I'm looking, I've adjusted to the place, and I take out my notes. I usually have a book that I'm going to read on the plane. And I also have a diary where, I'm writing down things that pop up. I also do a lot of tapping on the plane. So I'm sitting there comfortably. We take off from Dulles International Airport, and after a while I need to use the toilet. So I go to the toilet and I realize that the flush doesn't work. So I come out and I inform the crew, one of the crew, right, that the flush is not working. And she said, I'll take a look and I'll take care of it. Right, so I go back to my seat and I'm comfortable again, all buckled up, reading a book or writing notes and reflecting, and just excited about how I'm going to use all this information when I get back to Thailand. And I don't know exactly how long it was, but maybe an hour or two into the flight, I'm interrupted by this announcement by the captain of the airplane. And he says, I don't know exactly what he said, but this is what it was, that somehow we have this situation, a problem with the airplane. it seemed that none of the toilets were working. Not just the toilet that I went to, but none of them were working. And they gathered that when the plane had landed from wherever it was coming, right into the Dulles airport, the staff, the ground staff, forgot to unload the sewage tank. And so now that we're on this 15-hour journey from DC to Tokyo, right? I'm going to Bangkok via Tokyo. Nobody can use the toilets. And it was just incredible. And so the captain announced that we would have to make an emergency landing somewhere. And he didn't know where, but he had to figure that out, that very quickly we need to land somewhere. So as you can imagine, things are getting a bit chaotic. People are confused. There's some nervous energy. There's a guy sitting not next to me, but there's an aisle, I'm on the aisle seat on the other side. He's mumbling and fumbling, and he's really pissed off because he has some plane to catch, and it was a really important meeting. And, passengers are just generally agitated and concerned, right, as you would be. So as I settle into that piece of information, thinking, okay, now I have to inform my family, everything is delayed, right? After a while, we have a second announcement from the captain, and he says, we figured it out. Iceland will allow us, they've cleared us for landing there. So we're going to be, we're going to land in Iceland. And so, the passengers and me, we all taken this new piece of information and trying to digest this now. And just generally, curious, nervous. I've been traveling on airplanes. As some of you know, I used to be in a boarding school in India. So from the age of 6 till now, I've been going back and forth in planes every year. And I've never had this situation. So it was weird. It was, I was nervous. I was tapping, obviously. And so I'm trying to settle into this. Okay, so we have to land in Iceland. What does that mean? We have to take our luggage and get out and come back in, and God knows how long it's going to take. And as we are, still in air, there's a third announcement. And the pilot this time tells us that, there's this other piece that he hasn't told us about, which is that, because now the sewage tanks are full, right? And the fuel tank is also full. So we are not, it's not going to be possible to land the plane with 2 full tanks. And therefore, they're going to do this routine procedure where they'll be dumping oil in midair. And so he says, if you see fuel outside your window, don't be surprised. It's just routine procedure. We dump air when situations come up. This is normal. So I had 3 first experiences right there. Like I can see fuel flying out of my window. And, okay, this has to happen too. So eventually, you can imagine this like nervous energy, people are discussing, everybody's a bit pissed off because, delayed schedules and rescheduling flights and all of that. So finally, we land in Iceland, my very first time. And now, we are at the airport, and there's a big chaotic mess because the person in charge, the people in charge are trying to guide us into one specific area, and they're handing out coupons because, I don't know how long we're going to be here, right? So we need to be fed. People need to go to the toilet. They haven't been able to use the toilet in the airplane. So there's this, people are angry, frustrated, nervous, don't know what's happening next. And after a while, everybody's eaten their food and settled down, and we're still not sure when we're going to take off. And there's this whole conversation happening whether there was more to this whole scenario, because it's been 3 hours. We're still at the airport in Iceland, and how long does it really take to offload septic tanks? Who knows? I still don't. And so there's this whole conversation going on. And eventually, after 4.5 hours of being in Iceland, we finally take off for the next destination, which was Tokyo. And that is an uneventful journey, thankfully. And then I land in Tokyo, and then there's this scurry of activities because now we need to reschedule all these flights, and everybody's busy trying to figure out which is the next flight to the destination. And I think it was an 8-hour wait in Tokyo before I could get on to the evening flight, late evening flight to Bangkok, Thailand. And I did eventually land in Bangkok, Thailand. It was such a sigh of relief. And so, when I was back home, I was reflecting on this whole journey, and I was seeing how similar it is that this is the way a lot of us lead our lives, this journey that we're on, right? It's like we're holding on to stuff consciously sometimes unconsciously, subconsciously. We're holding on to stuff. We keep moving forward, putting things under the carpet, not wanting to look at that pain, physical pain, or that issue that we need to address, and we keep pushing it aside, bottling up the emotions, until eventually we reach a crisis point where we're just forced to sort of make this emergency landing, to make these take emergency actions, right, to now fix this big mess, right? And I was just thinking, like, when you go back to the flight story, like, what was the cost? The cost was, endangered lives of the passengers, expensive fuel being wasted in the middle of nowhere, the cost of the peace of mind of the passengers, right? Their mothers, there were babies, there's all kinds of discomfort that the passengers went through. So there's this dip in your client happiness scale. The excess cost of, feeding the how many hundreds of passengers, and then this energy spent in rescheduling, reconnecting, just so much extra cost. And when I thought about my own life, that's exactly what happened to me 10 years ago, right? I was at a job that I just was really miserable in, and, I had become good at it, but I wasn't happy there. It wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't satisfying. I felt like I was just drifting aimlessly, but I stuck at it because, that job allowed me to have flexi time, so I could be with my kids, who were just 5 and 6 years of age at the time. But I was so angry and frustrated at the job that I came home with all that, pent up, angry, frustrated energy, and poured it out all on my kids, and then felt like a shitty mom. Sorry for the bad word, right? Just a monster mother who is, and then there was this whole cycle. And it never occurred to me that I should leave this job. I just stuck at it because my mind told me that, who's going to give me a job that offers flexi time? It's hard to get jobs that offer flexi time. And it was really important for me to be with my kids when they got home. So I stuck at it. And one fine day, I was in physical pain, and it got worse and worse and worse until when I went to the doctor, they couldn't help me after months and months of going in and out of hospital. And eventually I had to quit my job and be on bed rest indefinitely. So it took me to reach that crisis point before, the universe literally put me on bed, and I was stuck there forever. So I want to ask you, right? I want to ask you, like, what stuff are you holding on to every day as you move forward as you take off into your day? What excess baggage are you holding on to? What stuff have you been holding on to that you really need to look at, but who has the time? And I'll take care of it later. It's not so important. I have so many urgent things to do, important things to do right now. So what is that stuff that you've been piling up, that you think you'll do later, that you think someday you're going to take care of it? You'll find time one day and deal with this stuff. So what are you holding on to? What are you putting off? What have you put under the carpet? And what are you waiting for? Like, how long are you willing to wait? What are you tolerating in your life? Like me, I was tolerating that job, tolerating this life, right? I had gotten used to this way of being, stress, anger, resentment, physical pain. So I want to ask you right now, what is the cost? Have a look at what you're holding on to and what is the cost? What is it costing you? Is it costing you physically? Your health is deteriorating. You can see signs. Is it costing you in your relationships? How are your relationships being affected because you're not looking at this thing that you're supposed to look at, that you need to look at, right? What is it costing you at your work, your productivity, your effectiveness? How effective are you being? Not looking at this stuff, right? So it's really interesting. And for me, when I was forced to look at this stuff because I was on bed rest and I was a mother of two small kids, 5 and 6 years old. And luckily for me, I bumped into a tool, Emotional Freedom Techniques, EFT, tap. As I started addressing the emotional pain, the physical pain, the pain from past, right? All that luggage that I'd been shouldering and moving forward with in life, as I started offloading that heavy, heavy baggage, that excess baggage, not only did I start, feeling free from this burden of pain, but I felt happier, I felt more alive. And one fine day, I was completely free from my chronic pain, from my disease, and I had also discovered my purpose. It's like from this big dense fog, I was out into bright sunshine of clarity and happiness and peace, and I could move forward towards my dreams. And so I want to ask you, what if you took the time today, in the next couple of days, this coming weekend, and what if you could begin to offload this backpack that you've been carrying with you, whatever the area this may be in for you. Maybe it's a relationship thing, maybe it's a work thing, maybe you're unhappy at work, maybe it's something, maybe you don't feel confident and you want to go back and see what's going on. What is the stuff that I'm carrying with me? What are these voices in my head that I keep repeating? What are the patterns in my life that I keep repeating that are keeping me stuck? And what if you actually went back and did that? What if you actually took time for the most important person in your life, you, right? And begin offloading this baggage, this heavy baggage that you are consciously or subconsciously moving forward with, carrying into your day, into your relationships, into your work, into your life, right? And because holding on to stuff, I say holding on to stuff is like holding off your dreams, because there's so much stuff that you have. Imagine a room full of cluttered stuff. There is no space within, right? There's no space to allow anything else inside, whether it's a great relationship that you're looking for, or the next job that you're looking for, or you're waiting to discover what your purpose is, or whatever it is that you're dreaming about. When you're holding on to stuff, you're holding off all those dreams. So I invite you to, take a look at what's going on in your life. What are the things that you're holding on to that you haven't addressed, that you need to address? What are you tolerating in your life that you no longer want to tolerate? Maybe it's time to look at that stuff right now. And, life is short, right? Everybody knows Louise Hay just died. There's been so many people in my life that I know who are, whose lives have been affected in such drastic ways because they have not been addressing the stuff that they really need to. And we're all gonna go one day, no matter who you are. Louise Hay was this amazing, legendary woman that impacted my life. And actually her book, You Can Heal Your Life, really got me onto this offloading journey. So I highly recommend that book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And, I would love for you to, if you do decide to take action, if you do go back and, look at your life and reflect and see if you can begin to offload that. I would love if you do take that action to come back here and please comment and let me know, how this sharing helped you, impacted you, and what did you discover. And if you're curious about my technique, the tapping technique to let go, I'm going to post a link maybe up above or below on how you can use tapping from my website. So, thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, exactly. Ram is commenting, are they even yours, the baggage? Maybe you're carrying other people's baggage and making it your own. So there's just so many aspects to this thing. I can't see everybody's comments, but I promise I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go back and comment. But thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this sharing impacted you, entertained you, and made you aware in some way and benefited you in some ways. Thank you, and I look forward to sharing another interesting story. I have lots of stories that I'm going to be sharing, and this next one is called Bangkok Traffic Lights and Your Beliefs. So I hope you'll join me next Thursday, same time, for the next story. And thank you for joining me here. I'm going to sign off now. All good wishes, and see you next week, next Thursday. Bye, guys. I'm sorry I haven't been able to address, I can't see all the comments. I only see Ram's and Nilima's comment. So thank you, guys. Some of you are just joining in. I was just sharing the story, my personal story about the emergency landing in Iceland. Brady is here. Brady Matthew just joined. So I guess, you can go back and rewind and look at the replay. And I'll see you again next week. Thank you, everyone, for who joined. And those who will be watching the replay, please go, watch it. And I hope if it resonates with you, please share this information with others that you think might benefit. And I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.